What are advice and obligations for, dear Mark?
So obligations and advice, we won't get into what these are, but it's a way to provide additional information along with the decision that's coming back. So if you get a permit or deny decision, you can send additional information. Um, One of the more common ways that we see obligations and advices used is to provide feedback to the end user itself. So instead of just flashing up a message that says access denied to the user, you can provide additional information and say, hey, call this number, or you can provide some sort of a cryptic error code for them to call the service desk with. Um, and we do have customers doing this. And the bottom line is you have to strike a balance. It really depends on the environment. Like if you're a consumer facing, you want to keep your customers happy, but you also want to keep them safe. If they struggle with your system, they're probably maybe they'll go to a different vendor. So we do see in those cases more user-friendly error messages coming back. So you could tell them exactly why they were denied. It's like, hey, your citizenship is wrong, for example. Or you can give them something cryptic. So it's a way to provide user feedback to make the user experience a little more enjoyable, if you will. And then there's our other things we can do with these to actually say enforced actions. So David, if you go to the next slide, these could be things that say, hey, um, you need to step up your authentication mechanism. Like, hey, you came in with a password, you need to use two-factor. So let's say, for example, in a investment situation, if you're transferring millions of dollars in funds, we want to say, hey, that password wasn't strong enough. Let's step up the authentication method. Or once someone has transferred all those funds, you can tell the PEP, hey, go send this message to the risk management system just so it's logged in real time. Granted, you can still get this information from our logs, but some people prefer the belt and suspenders approach. So you can use obligations to give instructions to the PEP of whether actions it's supposed to do. And we also use them a lot for testing. We can embed obligations and advice within the policy and just use them for the sole purposes of testing, since in our role, the policy is a tree structure, meaning there's various branches and nodes where a decision could come from, and we can use obligations and advices as breadcrumbs in our test to understand that the decision came from the expected branch and the expected rule. So these are not things the end user sees; these are things that the DevOps teams would see.
So, advice and obligations, they help us break away from the strictly binary yes no decision model where all you get is a permit or a deny. You can actually add that contextual information and for a wide range of reasons, including, of course, enriching the user experience.